everyone. Today we're going to talk about some tips to help you keep your landscape customers. Now, throughout the years, and I've done landscaping for 20 some years now, and I have lost customers. Probably one of the number one reasons I lost customers is because I didn't get to them soon enough. So it's customers that I already had a contract with, and all of a sudden months go by and you're still not there doing their work because you're busy with everything else you're doing, and all of a sudden they just get agitated and they run out of patience with you because maybe you told them you'd be there in a month. Now, they don't care if it's rained 20 days out of that month and you're 20 days behind. They don't care about that. What they care about is if you told them you were going to be there on the 15th, you better be there on the 15th. That's what they care about. Okay? So, a couple of things you got to do, or some tips here that can help you not lose as many. You still are going to lose some. I think it's inevitable, but hopefully you won't lose as many. And you guys can leave me your comments down below and let everybody know maybe tips that you guys have that you've done that have worked for you. All right? So, one of the things that I think is very important when you do get that estimate, and I tell people straight up, I tell them, look, and this even puts an urgency to them. I tell them, look, the sooner you sign up, the sooner you go on my calendar. I can't tell you exactly where we're at on the calendar right now. I'm not in the office, because what happens is I'll go and I'll do a bunch of estimates, and then I go, I get done at the end of the night, and my wife might share with me when we get home at night. She'll tell me how many of these jobs that we got. Then I can kind of pencil in my calendar. Then I get a better idea for where we're at. But until I get back into the office, I really don't know. So the best thing I can tell you, Mr. Customer, is call and get on the calendar. And the only way you get on the calendar is by placing half down. So I can take that today. I can get you on the calendar today. All right, and I can let you know after I get back in the office about when I'm going to be there. So that's what you tell people right off the bat, okay? And it puts a sense of urgency on the customer then, like, hey, maybe I should sign up with this guy right away. And I tell people this all the time. I tell them, look, I'm going to do 10 estimates today. And your job is one that's going to take about a week to do, and I could have 10 more just like yours. Okay, and at the end of the day, if I get half those jobs or 3/4 of those jobs, right now I'm about 2 weeks out or 3 weeks out, but at the end of the day, I could be 2 months out. So again, it instills the urgency in them to want a contract with you sooner. Okay, get the contract signed, get it done. All right. So having them sign a contract is a big deal. The days of doing everything on the old handshake are over with. Okay, so just by having that contract signed, they know they signed a legal document. Don't have anything that you write up yourself. Just don't handwrite anything up. By all means, don't do that. You can get these things. You can go to Home Depot and you can get them. They're all professionally done and nice and legal. And you can get them for pennies on the dollar of, if you had to have a lawyer and have them do it. You don't need all of that. They're already done for you. Okay? So you can also go to some other companies and have them customized for you, custom made, and we have that as well. Okay, so anyway, that being said, always have a contract. You should have that anyway, but it helps kind of keep them in line because they're like, look, I signed a legal document. I know I have to pay this, okay? All right, the other thing we do is we have them put money down, okay? In any landscape jobs I have, I don't care how small or how big, half the money is down. Okay, I don't care if it's a $500 job or a $5,000 job or a $50,000 job. Half that money is a down payment, and it is done before you go on the calendar. All right. Now, if it's a lot of money, these people are going to have to go into a bank, get the money. They got to transfer a lot of times. Whatever they have to do, that's fine. You have them to come into your office and have them sign the paperwork, whenever they have time. And if you don't have the office, if it's just you, you just tell them, okay, well, would you like me to come back tomorrow night? Would you have everything situated by then? And have them do that, or have them stop by you, maybe find out where you're at, at a given point. So either way, get the money down, because there again, you're getting them more and more locked into this thing, giving them less reasons to get out. Number one, they signed a contract. Number two, they gave you half the money. So now if they do want to get out, they got to call you and beg to get their money back, and they're in breach of contract. Okay, so we generally don't hold people to that. I mean, if they want to get out for whatever reasons, maybe they had financial hardship. I've had people get out of them because they were suddenly going to have a divorce, I mean, there's all kinds of reasons that people want to get out of contracts, okay? Maybe I've had this happen a ton of times, and that is where they'll call 5 guys for estimates, and I'm the only guy that showed up, and they give me the job, but then Jim Dandy sneaks in the back door, and he comes in there for $1,000 less than me, or $2,000 less than me, or whatever, and all of a sudden they'll call me up and just suddenly, for no reason, want to cancel the contract. Well, you know damn well what happened. 9 out of 10 times some lowballer came in and got the job, right? So I'll tell you how I do that. I'll tell you how I fix that situation coming up, all right? It's made a huge difference for us, all right? All right, so actually, I might as well just lead right into it right now. On our contracts, we have our contracts specially made, and we have a little notation on the bottom that's all spelled out, and it says we are charging you any forfeiture of this whatsoever. If you cancel this agreement at any time for any reason, you are going to get a 10% forfeiture of your money. So if your contract's $10,000 and you cancel, I'm taking $1,000 from you. And I explain to customers, I do this right from the beginning when I'm sitting down with them. And I have them sign this. They sign it down below and they initial right where it says that they'll forfeit 10% of the contract price. I tell them why that is. I use the example. I had a buddy of mine who was a house builder, or not a builder, but a mover. He would literally pick up houses and move them, right? Well, this one place, I think it was a Boy Scout camp or something, they had a bunch of these cabins, and they had bought land adjacent to it, and where these cabins were, and they wanted to move these, right? And they had, I don't remember how many, I think it was like 10 cabins, but they were big cabins, and this was going to take 3 weeks to do. My buddy called and asked if I could come and help him do this stuff and help him for 3 weeks on this. So I said, okay, but you're paying my labor and everything. I mean, my same prices that I would have made if I was landscaping. And he said, yeah, no problem. I just need the help. So I opened up 3 weeks where I didn't take any work whatsoever, right? And of course, this was right towards the end of the year, okay? So I didn't even have a chance to make it up. But then my buddy, my supposed buddy, backs out of the deal. Turns out he had a bunch of his little racing buddies, because he drove stock car too on the side or for a hobby, and he had them come up and help him because they got laid off their jobs, so he had those guys help him instead of me. And I'm like, buddy, I laid aside 3 weeks of my time for you. I said, now I lost all that money. Are you going to compensate me all that money? And no, he didn't. Well, needless to say, we're not friends anymore. But that's the point. And I use that with people, and I tell them, if I set aside a week for you or a day for you, okay, I turn away work all the time. And if I get 100 calls come in and I say, look, I'm completely booked, I can't take any more work, I'm throwing work away, and all of a sudden just to have you come in and cancel, that doesn't jive with me. And I explain that to the customers right when they sign that contract, and that has been by far the best thing I ever did. All right? So, the other thing, get to them when they're scheduled. Get to them when they're scheduled. I'm telling you, that's why it's so spooky to tell them you're going to be there on the 15th. I go through this whole analogy with them as well. I tell them, I said, look, it's going to take me about a month to get to you, but I want you to understand something. If it rains one day for the next 4 weeks, how many days does that put me behind? And make them tell you, how many days is that? And if they're like, well, 4 days, that's exactly right. So you know automatically I'm going to be 4 days late. I'm going to be 4 days behind. You know that automatically, right? Now, what happens if it rains 2 days a week? How many days? How many days am I going to be behind? Make them tell you. Then, when they call and they bitch and they complain, you can tell them, say, look, Mrs. Jones, do you remember when I talked to you about this and I gave you the example of when I have rain days, it puts me back? Okay? I don't expect you to sit there and count how many rain days we had, but I'm telling you right now, I'm 2 weeks behind. Okay? So, try not to give them an exact date. If you have to give them a roundabout. And just tell them, remember, every time it rains, use that. I do. It works. All right, so anyway, get to them, like I said, either before you're scheduled or at least get there when you're scheduled. If you're going to do that, if you're going to give them the date of the 15th, you're going to be there September 15th, then be there September 15th if you can help it. And if you're not, make sure you call them ahead of time and make sure you tell them why you're late, what's going on. Be honest with them. Just tell them this came up or that came up. Okay? I mean, most people appreciate honesty. They're not going to be happy with you, and it creates a hostile environment a lot of times when you do get there. But common sense people actually take that with a grain of salt. They're just happy to have you there, especially today when nobody wants to work anymore, so they're glad to have a landscaper there. Anyway, stay in touch with them as time goes on. My wife is on me all the time about, George, you got to call these people. You got to call these people. I work all day. I'll put in 12, 14 hours a day. When I come home, I don't want to be on the phone with them people. I don't want to sit there and keep calling them and saying, hey, I'm a little bit behind. Hey, I'm a little bit behind. But you know what? Maybe the office girls could help me with that. Maybe they could. It never works that way because my wife makes me do it all the time. So go figure. But stay in touch. She is right. We should stay in touch more, and it'll help you not lose them. It'll help them not all of a sudden get fed up with you and just pull. Because it does happen. It does happen to every one of us. We get behind and we'll lose business because of this. These are tips to try and help you keep the business. Remember that. Some are going to be hard to do, like that one, but it can help. Okay? All right. Having said all of that, my number one is definitely that 10% on the contract. Or even if you made it 5%. If you think 10% is too high, make it 5%. Your time is worth something. You going out there, sitting with them for an hour, driving an hour out there, sit with them for an hour, and then, all the planning and everything you do and the time you allot them on the calendar, that's all valuable time. And if they cancel that contract, you've done it all for nothing. You advertised for nothing. You drove out there, did the estimate for nothing, and now you got an open spot on your calendar. So don't be afraid to charge them that 10%. I charge them 10%. I don't give a shit. That's what I'm charging them. That's it. So explain to them when you're signing the contract. Make them sign that special one so they know that. They know they're going to lose that money. Believe me, when they know, they call up to cancel and they're looking at their contract, if you got to remind them, hey, Mrs. Jones, remember you lose 10% of the contract. We talked about this. A lot of times you change their mind. Then they stop doing that. So anyway, I hope this helps out. This has been George Packard. And if you like, hit the like button down below. And please subscribe to our channel. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, hit the little notification bell. And it will alert you every time a new video comes out. Because if you rely on YouTube, it won't happen. Thanks for watching and good luck.